kid. I seen your light. Can I come in?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, good. Hey, it's a nice place here.
When I wrote the character of Mickey, I thought this is going to be truly a pivotal role because this character embodied everything that a man whose dreams had been crushed and he was a totally unrealized human being. So it took a man who also sort of lived that part and had the kind of integrity and power and honesty to show that on screen, and not many actors would. Burgess Meredith had been around for, well, God, he had been acting since the early 30s, and he truly is one of the legendary greats of Hollywood. There was nothing the man couldn't do, and when he came to meet me in the office, he just had the enthusiasm of a child, which was pretty hard to believe after all these years. And he came with all these character ideas, and he distorted his nose and changed his voice, and he went down and he studied actual promoters and managers from a bygone era, and he literally morphed himself into becoming far and above anything that I had ever realized. And just his voice was just the voice of every unrealized man who had entered this incredible pugilistic world that had never succeeded. There was a kind of frustration and vulnerability, and when he finally culminates in the scene culminates with he and I in the room, it was something that we just let happen.
I got all this knowledge. I got it up here, and I want to give it to you. I want to give you this knowledge. I want to take care of you. I want to make sure that all the shit that happened to me doesn't happen to you.
I've got so much to give. You know, I've got experience. I've got pain experience. I got pain experience too. I felt that.
He was a joy in every way, shape, and form. We got nominated together, he and I, and we went to an after party together, and he could drink pretty good too. And we were talking and goofing around, and there's a house full of people. And he's sitting on a little ottoman, takes a drink, falls backwards, does a flip, comes up, didn't spill a goddamn drop. It was amazing. I mean, it was like an acrobat from the circus. It was amazing. He was a strong guy, a good man. I don't think he was malicious to anybody at all.
And so there's this moment where Burgess goes to, where Mickey goes to Rocky and says, I want to be your manager, kid, because, you know, he's going to chew you up, kid, and you really need a manager. You need somebody, you know. And I just looked at that scene. So in the scene, what happens is Rocky tells him no. Hey, you didn't want me then. You don't need, why are you here now? I'm going to get my face bashed in. Well, I don't need you. I don't need anybody. I'll do it myself. He goes through this rant. And he walks into the bathroom. There's a little cubicle, which probably was a closet. It probably wasn't even a bathroom. But it looked like he was going to the bathroom, okay? Talking movie talk now. So he goes through this door, and Burgess, right? Called him Buzzy. Burgess walked in. He had a hat on when he walks in. He had kind of like a pork pie hat, which is what everybody in the film who had a hat on wore, So Mickey, good grief, I have the names. So Mickey has this moment where he just tilts his head in a certain way, which was so amazing. The moment hit me like a ton of bricks because it was a man who has just been refused in such strong terms, but his dignity will not allow him to drop his head, put his tail between his legs, and sort of slink away. And he touches his head, and he realizes he doesn't have his hat on. Now, I don't know if this was ever written this way, but when I saw it, I went, wow, the brilliance of this actor. Rocky thinks Mickey has left. Rocky comes out of the bathroom, and there's that moment when they both see each other again, as Mickey's going for his hat. Rocky sees his face and doesn't want to talk to him, goes back in the bathroom, and Mickey gets it completely. You don't want to have anything to do with me. So his head tilts, he puts his hat on, and he walks out the door. The brilliance of that one moment said so much with no dialogue.
My name is Lee Grant, and I don't belong to the Rocky movie. I have had nothing to do with the Rocky movie, but I have had something to do with Burgess Meredith. And so I was asked to recall any of the experiences that I've had with Burgess over the years, because I loved him a lot. I remembered there was a big conference on some Indian guru, and there were thousands of people there. I mean, you'd have to step over people. And at a certain point, I just said, this is just, too dumb and too phony for me. And I just started stepping over people and kind of trying to softly cross over my way and get to the doorway. And I look up and I see there's somebody else doing the same thing. And it turns out to be Burgess. So we both, grabbed each other's hand and ran into his car. And he was, talking a mile a minute about, how hypocritical and dumb this thing was, not watching his speedometer or anything, going down Pacific Coast Highway, and suddenly there's a police car behind us who stops him, and then he sees and he says, "Oh, Buzz, okay, go on." Because Burgess used to give a big party once a year for the police force on Pacific Coast Highway. So they all loved him, and it didn't make any difference if he had a little wine in him or if he was, going over, talking to somebody. He was their darling. So they let him go. Whenever he did these movies, which, he did, I think, through the 30s and 40s and stuff like that, and I'd get to see him where the girl would have to pick out of three guys like three men. And I always thought that, Burgess was the hottest, that he was the cutest and had this, fascinating inner life, going on in him.
The hardest thing of doing the other Rockies is when he supposedly passed away in the third one. To me, a big part of the heart was cut out, because he truly was one of the engines that made the whole ensemble work.